6 when we have the capability now of 45 photos. Just terrible stuff. My question would be, what are consumers thinking whenever they're seeing these as a brand and also as a professional? I'm Aaron Lucas. I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Crawford. This is Mediocre Broker, a show where we talk about how to not be an average agent and how you can really be excellent as a real estate professional. Matt?
So yeah, we see it all the time. I think it's you're scrolling through the MLS or you're on Zillow and you're looking at these photos and you're just blown away by how horrible they are. You might see somebody in the background that's taking a picture in the bathroom, and you can see the agent in the actual mirror in the bathroom, and you're just like, come on, guys, this makes us all look bad. We don't want this. So I guess my question is, why are people doing that? Why are we all not focusing on getting quality content to the consumer? What do you think about that, Aaron? Like, what do you think should be the solution to that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the quality, making sure that quality photos are taken, I think, it's the most important thing, because we all know that, 90% of buyers are starting their homes online, or their home search online. So if that's the first thing that they're going to see, that's probably the most important thing that needs to be focused on.
Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting to me, in seeing people that are doing this. I feel like the biggest thing is cost. I feel like a lot of people are just thinking, well, it costs too much to hire a professional photographer, and so they're like running around with their iPhones and they're taking pictures and they're thinking that, well, I'm saving money here. But are you really saving money? Aaron, I know you had saw an actual article where they did a study and it showed what the savings amount was. I cannot remember off the top of my head what it was, but I feel like it was somewhere around $12,000 worth. If you just took better photos, you could sell the house for somewhere around an average of $12,000 more. Was that pretty accurate?
Yeah, it was right on. Like, I think it was like $12,900 and some 60 something dollars that the house is actually going to sell for more. So you're actually making quite a bit more by taking professional photos and hiring that out instead of getting your iPhone out and slapping them on the MLS.
Yeah, and I feel like that was an Inman study, so it's not like it was just some random person doing a study.
Exactly.
I think the other thing too that a lot of people feel like is, well, that, as a realtor, we're supposed to be, a jack of all trades, and we're supposed to take care of all this stuff on our own. And I feel like a lot of times that just gives us a worse product because of that. It's kind of like the staging. Like, why wouldn't you just hire a stager to go stage the house and then hire a photographer to go take good quality photos? Somebody that's actually went to school to do that and learned how to do that and do it the right way. Those are always things that baffle me. It's kind of like the poor man's mentality. If I just take all this on my own, then I'll be able to control it better. But in reality, they're losing business, because while they were taking that photo, they could have been out meeting with somebody else and gaining a new client. So
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that, great book, Michael Gerber, The E-Myth, really talks about the whole concept. And this is more than just photos, but the concept of delegation. People are hiring us to be real estate brokers, real estate professionals. Shouldn't be spending our time, with taking photos, or like you mentioned, the staging or whatever else it might be, when you can be out there being more productive, actually being a real estate salesperson.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the other flip side to this is, you see these photos that are just so edited, and you're like, come on, the sky really wasn't that color blue,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's definitely an artistic eye to some photos, and that's awesome. But there's nothing more than when my buyers hate nothing more than when they walk into a house and it is so fabricated and falsified, and there's been things that have been edited out of the photos, and it just doesn't even look the same. I've seen pictures where in the backyard there was a shed, and the shed was completely edited out, and we knew it, just to make it look like a bigger backyard to get my client there, which, I mean, nobody likes to be fooled. I think that's the flip side. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's a fine line. That happened to me quite a bit too, where buyers show up and they've seen it online, because, like I said, 90% of buyers are started online, and it's just completely different than what it looked like. But at the same time, I think that it is an artistic side to it. a lot of photographers, that's why they got into photography, is they want to do art, and specifically on our side, real estate art. And so I think there's also going out and just hiring any photographer or anyone who claims to be a professional photographer. As a real estate professional, we got to do our due diligence on the front side with who we're hiring as well, because just because they have a camera doesn't necessarily make them a professional. Look at their samples. What have they done? And don't let that cost be a factor. But you also, like you said, you don't want it to be so edited that when buyers go there, they're just completely off put because it's not even the same house that they saw online.
Absolutely. Yeah, we see it all the time. So I guess the other thing that a lot of people are talking about right now, especially with my board changing the rule, allowing over 40 photos.
I think it's 48 now.
It's 48 photos. Yeah. So, the big question is, just because you can have 48 photos, should you really have 48 photos? So I think we just got done talking about kind of the quality of the photos and how important quality is. And I think the conclusion there is, a mediocre broker is going to go do it themselves. And you're never going to break out of being a mediocre broker if you're constantly doing everything on your own, especially photos, based off of the facts that we just had. So if you want to be an excellent agent, you need to hire a professional photographer to go do them. Don't have that photographer overly edit them. I think that's the conclusion there. And I think it's also a good time to bring up the sponsor of the show, which is Indianapolis Homes Realty and Greenwood Homes Realty. So we don't have a massive budget. We're just here trying to help educate the real estate industry and help them understand that there is a level of standards that we all need to abide by, because it all makes us look bad if one person is a realtor that's doing crappy photos. It makes all of us look bad.
Right.
So our goal for the show is to obviously let people know what's going on in the industry and establish a standard, which obviously with Indianapolis Homes Realty and Greenwood Homes Realty, if you're an agent with us, we pay for all of those things for you, so you don't even have to worry about them. You don't have to think about them. All you have to do is just go sell a house. That's all you got to do. You turn in the paperwork, and it goes to the closing. You go out and sell another house. So we take care of all the photos, all the marketing on listings, and we take care of all those things for you. So back to the question of the 48 photos. What's your thoughts on that, Aaron?
Well, and real quick, I want to, while it's still fresh in my mind, I know you're talking about, there's more so the responsibility piece. Is it the individual agent, or should it actually be the company's responsibility to make sure that those professional photos are being taken?
Man, that's a really good question. So I feel like it's both. The short answer is I feel like it's both. But I'll hit from the company side of standpoint, and I want to hear what you think as well on the company side. But I'd like to hear what you think as far as the agent's responsibility. But for me, as a company owner, a business owner, I think if you have one agent inside of your company that is taking crappy photos and every single other agent's doing a great job, that's your fault for letting that one agent ruin everybody else's reputation. It dilutes the brand. So we're not going to name names, but we all know the franchise companies out there and the national companies that have a plethora of different marketing things going on inside of their company. And one agent's doing amazing photos and the other agent's doing really bad photos. And I'm not just singling out franchise and national companies, but they are bigger companies and they're a little bit easier targets for me to explain. There's definitely mom and pops and there's definitely independent brokerages like ourselves that are doing the same things. But at the end of the day, the company, it's their responsibility to make sure that these photos for their sellers, because at the end of the day, the company is being held responsible whether this house sells or not the agent. At the end of the day, the brokerage is the one that makes the commission and then splits it with the agent. So for me, a company owner, I would have to say that I would feel guilty if I didn't do everything that I could to make sure that consumer was taken care of.
Right. Yeah, I think, and it's kind of brings up, a side point, with the whole independent brokerages and more the mom and pop place. And I think that's why you're seeing more traction with these kind of brokerages, because there's that control is more fine tuned. And as a company, you can step in and say, this is going to be how we're going to represent ourselves. I know that, both yourself and myself, we've decided that our companies are going to be that way. So I know that's kind of a off-topic question. We kind of, I'll circle back to your 48 photos now, but so the 48 photos, you know, I think there's definitely going to be homes where it's going to be more advantageous to have, you know, more than the previously max amount of 24. But, you know, as a whole, I really don't see the necessity to have 48 photos. The one piece, and I haven't been able to study, dive deep into it much yet, but, you know, how's that going to rank with Google's SEO? I know it used to be 24 photos in a virtual tour. With that increase, you know, how is that going to affect how local SEO impacts the amount of photos?
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. I feel like that with the 48 photos, if you have a really nice listing where you can get 48 photos out of it because it's so large, do it all day long. I mean, the more quality content, we all know this, the more quality content you can put out there, the better. Don't don't get cheap and just take 24 photos on a nice home where you could have taken 48 photos and actually truly captured it. So if you're not able to capture it in 24 photos, by all means, order 48 photos. But on a $100,000 house that's 1,500 square foot, for me to, I don't even know where to begin with 48 photos. I don't know where you come up with 48 photos unless you're just taking every possible angle in every room in the house.
Yep.
It would definitely be a little, me as a consumer, I don't even know if I need that much information on the house. I think that's where the video tour would kind of come in play. But
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And, you know, I think to kind of, you know, I'll let you wrap up here in a second, but, you know, one last thought kind of that has stuck with me as I've kind of thought about, you know, the whole professional photos and everything is, and just with the rise of technology and how important everything is becoming online. I mean, everything's, and really not even desktops or laptops anymore, in the palms of people's hands and their iPhones or Androids or whatever they have. You know, curb appeal is our seller's responsibility. The web appeal is our responsibility as real estate professionals.
absolutely, man, I agree 100%. And that's kind of is where you were headed with as far as whose responsibility is the company or the agent. I mean, I feel like the agent's just as responsible. I mean, the agent, if you're an agent and you're staying around at a company that's allowing people to be mediocre, you probably ought to think about switching companies. Just being honest. I mean, I know people hate to say that. I'm sure that people are going to hate when I say that, but you're better than that. If you're out there taking quality photos and you're letting somebody else in your company take crappy photos and you're marketing side by side with that person and you think that's beneficial to you and your brand, you're dead wrong. It's not good. So don't be a mediocre broker, be an excellent agent. I guess I'll go ahead and wrap up here unless you have anything else you want to add. Short and sweet today, but really direct and really something that needed to be talked about and definitely timely on the 48 photos. So go ahead and like us on Facebook, share it on Facebook. Go ahead and like us on Google. Go to YouTube, like our page there. We're trying to grow, so we want to change the industry one person at a time, one view at a time. We want to establish a better standard of what's going on in our industry. We don't want other agents making us all look bad. So share away.